If you're a cannabis user and you use cannabis in one of the backward parts of the world where cannabis is still illegal, then you need to know what the term possession means and the implications of the charge, possession of cannabis. So cannabis possession means that you have cannabis on your person or under your direct control. On your person is pretty straightforward. It means that you've got it in your pocket, in your hand, in a bag, or hanging out of your mouth in a joint. All of these are direct possession with cannabis on your person. The other part of the possession charge indicates that you have cannabis under your immediate control. Now, these are significant parts of the definition of possession that all cannabis users need to understand. The nature of the charge has implications for the way that you'll handle yourself and carry cannabis in public. The next thing you need to know about, if you want to get a handle on the charge of possession, is the difference between what is a public space and what is a private space. A public space is pretty much anywhere where there's common access for a number of people. Think about a park, or a sidewalk, a retail store, or your lounge room, or kitchen, or laundry, the front porch, your front yard. All of these places are not exclusive. Lots of people have access to them, so they're public spaces. Your car, the body of the car, the bit where you sit, that's likely to be considered by the courts to be a public space. However, a private space is a place where there's only exclusive access to. Think about the boot of your car. A court might consider that the boot of your car is a private space because you have exclusive access to it. You have a key, and if only you have a key, then you have a right to exclude other people from using that area. Similarly, your bedroom is almost certainly a private space. Who goes in there and what goes in there is entirely under the discretion of a single individual. And so there's the difference. A public space has common access and a private space has exclusive access. And so all of this has implications for the way that a rational individual will handle their cannabis at home. No rational individual would ever store cannabis in a private area. If the police find cannabis in an area that's under an individual's exclusive control, then that person will be busted. They will be in possession. However, the same cannabis, if found in a public area, like a kitchen or a lounge room or on a porch, won't be in possession because the police will not be able to demonstrate that only one person had exclusive access. So, next time you're going to stash your pot at home, think about this. Be careful about where you place your cannabis. If the police find cannabis in an area that's under your exclusive control, then you're busted. When in public with cannabis, then you also have to keep in mind the nature of the possession laws. If you're in a public park, sitting on a picnic blanket, and a policeman walks up to you and finds cannabis underneath the corner of the blanket that you're sitting on, then it is possible that a court will decide that you had exclusive control of that area. You demarcated an area with a picnic blanket and placed cannabis within your immediate control. However, a police officer who finds cannabis in a nearby garden bed is unlikely to be able to demonstrate that the person sitting nearby on a picnic blanket has exclusive control of that cannabis, and so it's unlikely that a possession charge will be laid, let alone stick. Further, think about what you do whenever you're in public with cannabis. Make sure that the cannabis isn't in a place where it's not easily accessible. Don't leave home with more cannabis than you need, and when you are travelling with cannabis, make sure that you can get at it fairly easily. As soon as you hop into a car, then the first thing you should do is make sure that you're not in possession of cannabis. You take the cannabis out of your pocket and place it on the floor of the vehicle, under a mat, underneath the chairs. By doing so, you're enabling the police to find the cannabis easily enough, but in this situation they have to prove that it is under the exclusive control of an individual. Since a car is a public place, if nobody makes admissions, that it's unlikely to be under the exclusive control of an individual. So if you're in control of a car and you have a bunch of stoners hop in, then the first thing you should do is remind them of this. In the Northern Rivers area of New South Wales where I live, if you go to a courtroom and sit there for long enough, you'll hear about the incredible generosity of hitchhikers in this area. They seem to leave cannabis in a lot of cars. Now, however this might sound improbable, certainly it is not impossible. The police have to demonstrate in a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt that you had possession. It is a reasonable supposition that some hitchhikers may leave cannabis in cars. It is a reasonable supposition that if a few people have access to a car, then the person who is driving the car is not necessarily the person who places cannabis in the vehicle. So, there we have travelling with cannabis and being in public with cannabis. Keep your wits about you. Don't travel with more than you need, and when in a public area, try at all times to place your cannabis in an area that is a public area. However, no amount of care in your stashing of cannabis will assist you if, when the police officer comes up to you clutching a bag of cannabis, you make admissions. When the police officer comes over from the nearby garden bed, holding a bag of pot, holds it up and says, "Whose is this?" you just say, "I don't know, sir." "I have no idea, sir." And that's about all you say. Do not go into some long explanation. You don't know, so leave it at that. Similarly, if you're in a car and the police stop you, they find 4 bags of cannabis on the floor with 4 individuals in the car. If nobody makes admissions, then it's unlikely that anyone will be busted. Yes, there's a good chance that the driver of the car may be charged, but if they come across a good lawyer, then it's unlikely that they'll be found guilty. The police will try and pressure you and put it on you, but don't rise to the bait. Do not make admissions. And so, if you take care to not make admissions and always stash your cannabis in a public area, then you may be able to get through this craziness of cannabis illegality without suffering a possession charge that sticks. Finally, I want to have a bit of a word about these Frankenstein laws that are our drug laws. These are horrible things in the eyes of the law. Since time immemorial, we have defined a crime as consisting of at least two elements. For a crime to have been committed, there must be an evil act and an evil intent. Think about murder. Murder is made up of did kill and did intend to kill. Assault did occasion actual harm, did intend to occasion actual harm. Unless both the act and the intent happen at the same time as the commission of the crime, then no crime has been committed, except for drug laws. These horrible Frankenstein laws make a mockery of the common law. About 100 years ago, our masters decided that they knew better. They would dictate to us what is a good intent and what is a bad intent. They decided that since the intent has nothing to do with it any longer, we will just make an act illegal, regardless of what the intent of the person is. And so we have this class of what are known as victimless crimes. They're victimless because it's impossible to define them as real crimes. A real crime needs a victim and an evil intent. Drug laws have neither.